The Vancouver Art Gallery announced 2 Canadian architects to lead the next phase of designing its new building. Alfred Waugh, a founder of Formline Architecture and Urbanism, and Bruce Kuwabara, a founding partner of KPMB Architects. This comes after construction costs for the previous design from a Swiss firm soared to $600 million. The architects are not available today, and joining me now in studio are the interim CEOs of the Vancouver Art Gallery, Sirish and Eva Respini. Hello to both of you.
Hello.
Hello, Amy. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks so much for coming in. Yeah. So, Eva, what can you tell us about these architects who will lead this next phase of design?
It's a really exciting partnership, I have to say. As you mentioned, Alfred Waugh is a really exciting architect that founded Formline, an Indigenous-led and BC-based firm that's actually out of North Van. And he really brings traditional Indigenous knowledge and thinks about it through the lens of contemporary architecture. Some of the buildings he designed include the Squamish-Lil'wat Center up in Whistler.
Beautiful.
As well as over at UBC, the Residential School Learning Center. And that partnership with KPMB and Bruce Kuwabara leading it on that side they are probably the best known firm within Canada, and they have designed dozens of museums and cultural institutions all around North America. And so that partnership of deep experience, proven experience with an Indigenous-led approach is very exciting to us here at the gallery.
Yeah. And Sirish, why did you choose them specifically?
Well, in a way, a new art gallery is a vision for the kind of home, the home for the imagination, really, that the city deserves. And when we looked at a home for the imagination that is a gathering place, that is a place that tells the story of this city and this province, because after all, a gallery is a memory keeper of our cultural legacy. We needed to find architects who really operated from the idea that architecture is a social practice. Many architects, of course, do this, but this particular combination of understanding how architects hold memory. If you see the buildings that they've done that Eva was just mentioning, Bruce is in fact currently just working on completing the Montreal Holocaust Museum, and he's also working on the Japanese Redress Memorial in Victoria. So they really understand how history, memory and legacy meet in buildings.
It's such a wonderful way to look at it, that it's holding these memories for everyone. And I know the media release says, quote, Formline's authentic, place-based Indigenous design, thinking with KPMB's proven gallery expertise and pragmatic execution. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit more, just sort of how they'll work in tandem.
Well, that's the exciting part that we look forward to as much as they do. I think that partnership is certainly grown out of deep respect. They've admired each other's practices for years. Alfred uses this wonderful phrase when he speaks of his work. He calls it indigenuity, indigenous ingenuity. And both of them really look not only at the structure that they're building, but their impact on the larger urban landscape, on cities themselves.
And I might add, well, we're also a collaboration, Sirish and I, as co-CEOs.
Yeah.
But when you think about a museum and how a museum should serve its publics today, we have to be many things to many people. And we were really inspired by both Bruce and Alfred and their teams and the way that they talked about museums being a gathering place. In this world, which is, more difficult than ever, we need museums to be a place of solace, inspiration, healing, joy even. And we felt that these architects really understood what a museum should be in the 21st century, not the 19th century or 20th century model of a kind of fortress where we're keeping, all of our treasures. And we were, really quite moved by the ways in which they were speaking of museums as a kind of public, as a citizen, if you will.
I love that. And not to get into the, sort of the more pragmatic side of it, but how much are we expecting this project to cost?
Well, to cost this project accurately, we still have work to do. So we are at that exciting, but also we have to acknowledge we're at the first step of a process. Right now, we haven't actually engaged them on the basis of a design. We've engaged them on the basis of their qualifications.
Okay.
Next step is they will listen to community, listen to our interest holders, really understand what it is our community is seeking, translate that into architectural form, and at that point we'll be costing it with them and really arriving at something that's achievable. Now, obviously, we want to make sure that whatever we do has both the ambition that we want for it and the city needs, but also is extremely pragmatic and deliverable, because those two need to be equally important.
And I know that the Vancouver Art Gallery did have to lay off 30% of its staff this summer after reporting a $2.85 million deficit. That was for the 2023-2024 year. Eva, how would you sort of describe that fiscal pressure on the gallery right now?
Yeah, it was a very challenging summer and very challenging for the gallery. And I just want to say that these are people's lives. They're not just numbers. These are people's lives, and we take that very seriously. Now, that being said, when we talk about a capital project, they are, in fact, different buckets of money. Right? Government, donors, supporters, they're giving towards a capital project, and that money can't be transferred over to paying people's salaries or keeping on the lights. And I think that's a very important distinction to make. Nevertheless, fiscal responsibility is top of mind for us, both in minding the shop, the current shop, if you will, and with the project ahead. We're talking a lot about learning from the past and what's different now. We have new financial controls in place, a new governance structure, and we really spoke in depth to the architects in our interview process about designing to budget. And we feel really confident that with a kind of fiscal sustainability of the current moment, that we can bring that forward and really bring this across the finish line, hopefully.
And do we have an idea of when we might get that updated design or cost estimate? Just, sort of what is the next phase? I think so many people are just so curious about what is finally going to be there.
We think that people will have something to bite into, and that we'll be able to share somewhere in the middle of next year.
Okay.
And meanwhile, we really also, Amy, are really taking the attitude that we're going to say much less this time around, get our heads down, do the work, and when there's a significant and meaningful and accurate information to share, we will.
Okay.
But we're really looking forward to this process, which is the speaking with community and the visioning, accompanied by all the budgetary implications that comes with.
Well, it's very exciting to see what comes next. Thank you both so much for coming in today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
That is Sirish Rao and Eva Respini. They are the interim co-CEOs of the Vancouver Art Gallery.